I'm going to take you through the steps of making a sphere. Right, so I'm going to use this nice piece of yew. Okay, rain's obviously going that way. Now, I need to have some spigots on the end of this. Now, you could either start off with a bigger bit of yew, or whatever your chosen wood is, but that's a bit of a waste. So what I'm going to end up doing, is I've got some small bits of wood, right, which I'm going to basically hot glue onto the end. So that way I'm going to turn that between centres, and then we'll reduce it down, and these will obviously get chopped off when we're ready. So to start off with them, so what I'm going to do is with the centre finder, so I've already done this, marked it off. I'll just take you through. So I've just marked off on the ends, both ends, to find the centre, across the corners to find the centre. Okay, and like where I've got here, I've got the two lines not quite crossing, so my centre is basically in the middle of that. So I've done that on both ends. I've gone further across at this point because what I wanted to do is on my these smaller bits, I'm just going to I'll do the same. Mark the centres on them. So you can see on this one, then that is my centre. Okay, so I'll just going to mark, put a dent in that. Just a centre finder, not a centre finder, a centre punch. Sorry, sell them in the club shop. Put that into there. Just put a nice little dent in there. There's no point doing the other end because that's going to be glued on there. What I'm going to put then is just by eye. This block is basically 80 by 80. You could probably give it a bit smaller, but just for this sort of demonstration, I'm going to do. So I'm just going to eye up this. Just put the corners of my thing on those lines, and I'm going to hot glue that in place, and then hot glue the other one on the other end. So I'm going to get the hot glue gun, get them warmed up, and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, so hot glue gun, nice new one from the club shop. Just going to put some hot glue, thing that way, on there, glue that in place, roughly get it centre. I'll do the same on the other end. So that's what we got. Turn the hot glue gun off. Right, so the next stage is, once that's good and dried, and yes, going go off, nice. We're going to get this lined up on the lathe to turn between centres. Set up, ready to go. Set between centres. Everything's tightened off. Make sure it's all free to rotate. And all I'm going to do is just turn this to a cylinder at the moment, just so I can and see how we go. Okay, so all locked off. Start at slow speed. Helps if I turn the lathe on. There we go. Sounds good. So we'll just stop that and check, see what we're looking like. Yeah, nice piece of wood and looking good. Right, so what I need to do is I want this ball to be 62. So I'm going to set the calipers to 62. Okay, I've got a ruler set up on the end of the on the tailstock end. So I'm just going to take it down to 65 at the moment, just to get some size. So I've got quite a bit more wood to go away to take off this. So this piece is now nice. That's down to 65. Right. What I'm going to do is just going to turn these end bits, turn them to a cylinder while I'm at it. Right, so that's just taken down round. I've obviously not gone too close to this because that's where my glue is, but there is glue underneath. So this could be a interesting to see if this works or not. Right, we're going to get our ball down to 62. So I'm just going to set the calipers accurately now to 62. Right, that's now 62. These this set of verniers, not calipers, this set of verniers, I haven't rounded off the corners yet on here, so don't use these ones for that at the moment. So all I wanted to do is just set an accurate 62, and I'm going to take these calipers down, wind them down to the right size. Right, so that's now accurately, they're now 62. So I'm just going to go down a little bit more with the parting tool. Right, I'm going to check this now. Tiny little bit more. Doesn't really matter if the ends are not 62, but it's the centre of this piece is what I want to make sure is definitely 62, because that's where my centre of the ball will be. Again, slightly more. Lovely, 62. Okay, so that's now 62. What I need to do is mark off the 62. One bit. Next bit. 62, bang on. So 31 is my centre. So I'm going to mark off the centre line like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to part in here a little bit. again, just check. There's slightly more need of one end. Perfect. Right, the important part of when gluing these on is make sure that you've got plenty of glue underneath when we glued this onto the block, we made sure we had glue underneath. That's important because we're going to turn this joint away. Okay. See, my glue is nice and strong there. Got a good joint. The next piece of this is just to make it a little bit easy for the ball turning jig. What we can do is we can just take the corners off, chamfer the corners off, and that will help the ball turning jig a little bit. Right, so this is 62mm. Okay, now there's a if you times the diameter by 0.297, in this case that comes out to 18.4. right, so what I can do is I can set, I've got my divider set at 18.4. If I mark from the end a line 18.4 and do the same at this end, right, and then using the depth, which is actually down to my where the spigot is anyway, on both sides. Okay, so just draw that round, just draw that round, and draw these. Okay, so this material here, I can then just using a bowl gouge, I can just take that away at an angle down to meet the other one. So I'm going to do that next. Like so. Before I shake that down, what we're going to do is take the spigot down at this end a little bit smaller. You can generally go down to about 12-15mm, something like that. So what I'm going to do is just turn this away. Next thing is we're going to now fit the ball turning jig to the lathe. Right, the actual jig itself has a little plastic insert underneath, which is the same width as the gap between my lathe bed bars, so that will set this bang on center vertically. Okay, so first off we'll put this in. It's a little bit fiddly sometimes to get in. That goes in quite nicely. Okay, so I just move these little, I've got to move them out of the way, and we just tighten it up. Just turn it up fingers to start with. Okay, I'm going to need fine adjustment on this left and right, so I'm not going to go get the Allen key on it yet. Okay, now if you can see on this, this has got different spaces, sorry, different holes for different sizes. The first size is 0 to 100, then it goes 100 to 170, 170 to 240, 340 to 310, and the furthest one is out 310 to 380. 380, yeah, 380 mil diameter. So that's quite a massive ball that this thing can be turned with. Right. Now the next part of this is the actual cutter itself. This has just got a nice little cutter on the tip there. When it's not in use, put this little cover back on it just to keep it safe and you don't knock it. This is I've already set all this up so that when this sits in here, this is at the height, bang on center of the lathe itself. Then what I can do is I can wind. Well, you can't see this, can you? Let's get back out a bit. You see that? Right. Okay, so on the back of it, what I can do is I can wind this out. So we just get it so it just touches the wood. Lock this off square. I want to back off a little bit more. So I'm looking to try to set up this so it's just the centre of the cutter is bang on my centre line. Okay, and then with an Allen key, just tighten up the mounting. It doesn't need to be massively tight, just nip it up. Okay. Now on the back here we've got a knurled ring. So what we can do is we'll set that to that's just a little bit too much. I just want it so it's, yeah, it's just touching, but maybe a little bit more back a bit. I want to end up leaving that line because we know is 62 mil. If I take anything off it, obviously it's going to reduce the size of the ball, which I don't want. Right, so I can then lock off this knurled nut and the wing nut, and then carefully just release it. Okay, and now what we can do is we can just back it off a little bit, and we just want to make sure that that's hitting in the center. That's just touching that side, but maybe I want to go slightly that way a little bit. Should have checked that first. Turn that off. Okay. So it's just touching that side. That's better. Right, okay. So we now know, make sure everything's locked off. Okay, right. Visor back on. Everything's locked off. And then all we're going to do is just gently wind this in, swinging it either way. Mind the head on the camera. Okay, and that will gradually take away the edges. So here we go. Just turn the lathe down, speed down to start with. So we're happy. Bring the speed up. All's good practice. Okay, right, here we go. I want to go back a little, just take out a little bit more because it's I do just need to do, I keep banging me head on the flipping camera. Right, I just need to push the tailstock out a little bit further. So, just catching it. So, drive it out a little bit more. pop that up. And then carry on again. I've got this bit of a lump there, so I'm just going to wind this back out. Right there, we're now almost to the end. Now, you can see this or not, but the end of the bar is just hitting the tailstock. Okay, but what I can do, just back this off, and then what we can move is I can twist this round. And I'll just take a little bit more off for me. Right, I'm just going to set this so I can get down a bit more into this area here. Okay, so I'm just setting that off, slightly off center. Just take a little bit more of this material away. Right, so now we've got the ball pretty much there. Just going to give it a bit very light sand. Nicely. Right, what we need to do next is we're just going to cut off these just slightly proud. Now the glue's coming off. Right, so ball with them. Next bit, I'm going to move this out of the way and set up for the final stage of it. So what we've got set up here now is I've got a wooden cup drive, or call it what you want, call it what you want, in that end. And what we've got in here is a rotating center, and it's just got a little cup that goes over it and a rubber ring that goes in there. So now my ball will then get put into this, bring up the tailstock, just get it so it's sitting nice. Just want to offset them slightly so they're not lock it off. That's good. Nice and close. Right, now as this turns, I can see the profile of the ball on one side, and I'll see this bit as sort of like ghosting on the other side. The idea is we want to just gently turn that away. So that's what we'll do next. Only take little tiny cuts off it. So right, so we can see this one is almost gone. The other one looks like it has gone. So I got a little bit more there. Some there's gone, just very slightly see it there, but that might come out with some sand in. So just move that out of the way. I'm just going to put the dust extraction on. There we have it on sphere. Feels good. There we are. Done. Right, so there we have it. This was a U ball. It started off at 62, but by the time you take into account of sanding and final adjustments, it actually came down to just under 61. So you do need to be very careful of your sizes and how much you take off. But basically, the jig that I made previously, this ball fits in there really tight. It ain't going anywhere. So pleased with that. Okay, so there you have it. That's now sphere done, jig done, and I've got a video for the actual drilling of the holes in the ball. So that'll be next thing is to mark out this ball, which will be interesting. Okay, speak to you soon.